I'm Jack Berryman, ACSM historian, and we're in Las Vegas at the Fitness Summit, talking with Annette Lang this morning, leaders in sports medicine and exercise science series. So thank you, Annette, for
Thank you.
taking the time to come chat a little bit.
Thanks for asking.
So one of the first things I wanted to ask you is, I see you have a North Dakota shirt. We'll get to that later, but maybe, where did you grow up? Did you play sports in high school? Where did you go to college? What did you major in?
Sure.
Let's start with there.
Sure. Well, I'm a New Yorker, born and bred there. My parents moved from Germany in the late 50s, and so grew up in New York and was always very active as a child. And then my father did a dreadful thing when I was 13. He moved us upstate to a very small town.
This is the rural part
outside of New York City.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that at first, but did all the sports, throughout the whole school year.
What town was that?
It was Callicoon, New York, about 130 miles northwest of New York City.
Because I'm from central Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
And I knew a lot of those areas, but I hadn't heard of that town.
Really close to Honesdale, Pennsylvania, and
I
Scranton,
see.
Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, okay.
So anyway, and then I went to college one year at SUNY Albany and thought I just wanted to try something different, and so went to the University of Florida in Gainesville.
Oh wow, that is something different, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think I always knew I wanted to work with fitness somehow. I knew I did not want to work with medical professions. I knew I didn't want to work with injured people in physical therapy. I just had this
Healthy people.
Yeah, I just felt I had this feeling that moving always made me feel good as far as self-esteem and self-image, but there really wasn't any track that I could find to do that. So I wound up going to school to teach German because of my heritage,
sure.
and
Yeah.
I was always very active. And so then I got a lucky break. They asked me to go to Germany on a scholarship to study German.
This is while you're still in Gainesville.
University of Florida,
So you're an undergrad now.
Yes,
Wow.
and so they
Okay.
figured send her to Germany on a scholarship, and then I was supposed to find out what I wanted to study, as far as my master's program.
So you were in an undergrad of like language arts,
Yeah.
Germanics, whatever.
Yeah, it was just called, I majored in German, but it was basically teaching. And so then I went to school in Germany and saw the efforts of socialized medicine, getting people to try to take care of their own health status. And I was like, that's what I want to do, is just motivate the average everyday person.
What time period was this in that?
1982.
Okay, okay.
So then I came back and I said, thanks a lot for sending me to school. I think I really want to work in fitness.
Yeah, now I'm not going to do German anymore, right?
Yes, I walked into Gainesville Health and Fitness Center. That was Joe Cerulli, well known as a Nautilus Health Club.
Oh.
The one set to failure routines.
Yes.
We worked with Arthur Jones, and
Yeah.
Ken Hutchins did the first super slow
Boy,
programs.
those are some big names right off the bat.
Huge.
Yeah.
So that was my first introduction to exercise instruction, teaching people one set to failure.
This is after you graduated.
I graduated with my degree in German.
Okay,
teaching
and then
German.
you just stayed
Stayed in Gainesville. Said I want to think
And
I
this
learned.
is again 83
83, yeah.
now? Okay.
So they said, you're really good helping people through these workouts. Why don't you go into sales? And as every good personal trainer says, I don't want to do sales. I want to help people.
Right.
So I said, well, shouldn't I do management? And they said, no. If you're a good salesperson, then you really understand the communication skills. And I did that for 9 years. And I was just amazed with, the special relationship that you can have with another human being.
And who did you work for, though?
Gainesville Health and Fitness Center. I did sales,
I see.
membership sales.
I see.
But when I was your, membership advisor, I got to help you with your workouts. So I was constantly.
So you got to do both.
Yeah, just always,
Okay.
calling people. Are you coming into the gym? Are you working out? So we had a very personal approach.
And you taught some classes too?
I didn't.
You didn't.
It was when STEP came out, and I couldn't believe that would ever go anywhere. I taught a couple of workouts, but I was not very good at that.
So was Arthur Jones was Nautilus?
Yeah,
right?
he was based in Ocala, Florida.
Yeah, okay.
So we were a Nautilus Club.
So you had all that equipment?
Oh,
and-
yeah.
Yeah, that was cutting edge.
Oh, yeah, and the whole goal was, if you walked in saying you wanted to do free weights, our goal was to get you to change your mind, to become a Nautilus person.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. That's wow. That's one of those cases where you're sort of the right place at the right time.
It really was.
Um,
And I had an epiphany though, because I remember the day I was talking with this woman about making changes to her fitness, habits.
Mhm.
And at the end of the discussion, she said, "You know what? After all we talked, I think what I'm ready to do now is maybe start a walking program." And I shook hands with her and I said, this is great, but it's not good for membership sales. So I realized I need to do something else. I wanted to help people, but I didn't feel that I should be a salesperson for that club
Yeah.
anymore.
And what did you then seek more knowledge and understanding of exercise and fitness itself?
Yeah, well, I had good education at the gym, but then what I did was I went back to the university and I spoke to some professors and I said, should I go into exercise science?
Yeah.
What should I do? And they said, well, considering what you're telling us you like, you should take the exercise science coursework, but you might consider a major in health education. And then I got opened up to that whole field of communication skills and listening skills
Yes.
and psychology of behavior change and motivation, and I feel like that's what is taught a lot in the coaching programs now. So I did all the exercise science coursework.
Who were the professors there?
Oh my gosh, now you're asking me to think back. Dr. Pig, Dr. Steve Dorfman, several people.
So this is
Dr. Oh, he was huge in the exercise science field.
That's why I'm
Yes,
asking. I'm drawing a blank too. But
Pollock?
yeah.
Dr. Pollock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mike.
I have someone who just passed away a few years ago. Yes.
A few years ago. That's why
That
I
was
asked,
huge.
because it's the University of Florida, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that he was so well known. So is that then when you became associated with ACSM, or was it at the club earlier?
No, exactly a little later.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
So you're doing a master's there?
I
then?
got my master's degree in health education.
Okay, but you did the exercise physiology.
I did the
and that.
coursework simultaneously, but the actual degree was in health
And
education.
when did you finish your degree?
In Gainesville, then. It
When,
probably,
though?
I went part-time while I was still working at the
Okay,
gym. So I
okay.
finished in 91.
Okay.
And then I said, you know what? I think I want to move back to New York. So I moved back to New York and got a couple of jobs still in sales and managing health clubs. I worked for the first Crunch location and did some work for American Leisure Management. And then I'll never forget the day someone came into the Crunch gym and said, why don't you do personal training full time? And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Nobody does that. And so then again, being at the right place at the right time, I walked into the first Equinox Health Club when Bob Asquari was there, and he had just been given the role of developing the personal training program in the health club.
And what year was that?
I got there in '94. He had started about 2 years prior to that.
Okay.
So it was sort of like the first efforts at organizing, legitimizing, and getting a system to the personal training program.
So I don't know a whole lot about it. So Equinox started there, and now are there other? Were there then this spread?
There's tons, yeah. Back then
Okay.
it was a family-owned business. They were
Okay.
just starting to expand in New York City. So we started the first Equinox Fitness Training Institute, educating trainers as they started being hired. And we started applying to conferences around the country, club industry, ACSM, URSA, and started talking about how we were educating trainers. And so that's what I started doing.
So is that when you first connected with ACSM?
Yes,
Was it through their certification?
It was
or-
it was the teaching at the conferences,
at the summits?
at the summits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you came there and
I
taught a class or whatever.
lectures on, how to get your personal training staff ready. And then we would do
Oh, okay.
specifics on what do personal trainers need to understand.
I see.
And so we just kept doing that through the years and just started getting involved with education programs for personal trainers. And then worked as a full-time personal trainer. Had the great opportunity of working with Reebok University.
Oh, gee.
Back
I remember
when-
when they were doing a lot
Right.
here at the summits.
Huge. And I said, who are these people? Reebok
Yeah. University.
University. And they're like, remember the person who invented Step? I'm like, oh yeah, that program that I never thought would go anywhere.
Right.
So got to meet Jim Miller and Petra Kolber and Lisa Wheeler and just all these wonderful people who've been traveling around the world.
I still have a Reebok bag. I remember when that was really, really big.
Exactly. And they were huge at ACSM
Yeah,
conferences.
yeah.
So they brought me in to help develop and teach education programs for personal trainers. So we did the Reebok Core Board program, a stretching program, and had the great opportunity to work with Gray Cook on his, what is now the functional movement screen that's used all over the country and internationally. So I had the great opportunity to work with some just highly influential people at the right time. And so just kept doing that. And I wasn't able to sustain a full-time load as a personal trainer within a health club. And I understand that and appreciate that.
As far as numbers of clients?
Yeah, they want you there full-time. So I had a few private clients. And so then I started teaching more workshops for myself, you know, incorporated my own business, and then with Reebok University, and kept presenting at all the conferences. And I started developing my private personal training business. And so fast forward to now, that's what I'm doing is I average about 15, 17 private personal training sessions a week.
Wow.
So I really
you're
appreciate
your own business now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really appreciate that. And I think trainers appreciate it when I teach workshops that I'm in the trenches with them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what I can bring to the table, especially for new to intermediate trainers, is help them be able to get on board quicker with the education and what you need to know as a personal trainer. So I value the research that a lot of other people do, and then we look at it and say, so what does that mean to me? You know, as I walk into your house and try to get you to exercise more and start your fitness program.
So have you done any writing, publishing, or is it mainly hands-on?
It's both. Through Healthy Learning, I did 8 DVDs. I published a book with Human Kinetics, Morning Strength Workouts. And through Benefit Health Media, I authored the Prenatal and Postpartum Training Fan.
Neat.
It's a product for consumers for exercise during pregnancy and the postpartum period.
I'm going to be talking to Lene Mudd a little bit later today, and I know that was some of her research.
Yeah,
So.
and I do a lot of writing for the fitness publications as well. You know, stories on, you know, articles on exercise tips and for personal training.
Well, I assume then you got involved in other groups like, I don't know, is it IDEA? Or
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
What you have to offer is applicable to all of these
Absolutely.
groups, of course.
Yeah, the numerous IDEA conventions and club industry and URSA, AFPA, Sarah City, DCAC, all the fitness conferences. Traveled internationally with Reebok University, and we'll be at the Fit Pro conference in England next month, and Can Fit Pro. So I think, you know, just really wonderful opportunity to try to spread the word. I feel like, you know, I want to, if I can help trainers be better, then we can sort of infiltrate the system and, you know, touch more people.
Yeah. Good example, though, doing the right thing at the right time. You know, just think of where you were doing German, you know, and then all of a sudden, that's quite an amazing change.
Yeah, it's been really great. And so now, you know, I think like, what can I, you know, I'm here at the ACSM conference, what do I bring to the table? And I think people appreciate, you know, the stories of where I've been and where we've been and where we are now. And so now I'd like to try to help with, you know, what's important now, what do we need to focus on? And, you know, two things that I've been talking about recently a lot is the young people who are sitting too much at their offices and those computers, and you know, they might think that they're active by going to the gym often. That's still not enough. You know, as Len Kravitz said recently, you know, sitting 8 hours a day and being active for an hour, that's still not cutting it.
Right.
You know, and then also just, I feel like we might have slipped a little bit with the older population. You're like, we got to get back to serious strength training for those people to make sure that they stay mobile. So I learned that a lot here at these conferences as far as the research on, you know, what's working with exercise and motivation.
So tell me a little bit about full body circuits.
Yeah, that's what I presented here yesterday, and I'm going to do another session today. Basically, my goal was, you know, I feel like we're bombarded, and again, I like to help the new to intermediate trainer because sometimes it's overwhelming. You know, like, what do I do with you? You know, I've got this theory, this philosophy, this research, and I walk into your home or meet you at the gym.
Because they don't know themselves really what they want, so it's up to you to do the right thing.
Right. So I try to educate personal trainers that, you know, what are the components of fitness? You know, I like to say back in the day, it was muscular strength, muscular endurance, cardiovascular, flexibility. You know, but there's core training and balance and proprioception and, you know, so how do you put all that in there? And so if we look at a circuit workout and look at all of the components that make up a potential program, it's sort of like a menu, you know, so you've got your different movements, squatting, lunging, movement patterns, pulling, pushing. Then you've got the variables, speed, angles, single, multi-joint. So then you start varying the progressions. Now it also depends on if your client is very active, or your participants, if they're very active on their own, then you can be more diverse in your choices. If I have you as a client, you literally don't move unless I see you, and you have a lot of muscle imbalances, then I got to cover that. You know, the circuit idea sort of is like a big menu that you can choose from and try to hit the important components.
And you have to be able to read your clients too. I mean, gee, they're all different.
I feel like that's the biggest thing. You know, the more we get advanced technologically, the more important our relationship is with another human being. You know, so I think that's really annoying to me when I walk into a health club and I see a client working really hard and the trainer is distracted or disconnected by texting. You know, I think that's really huge, you know, and like that's where we make such a difference. And so to be able to read your client and connect with them to where they are, you know, so I also try to help trainers, you know, like, it's okay, so you don't like the fact that they eat too many cookies, or you don't like the fact that they you know, drink too much beer, but right now, if they're ready to make a change here, then start here, you know, like go for it, yeah. Wherever they're at right now.
Right, yeah, because they've got to be ready, or it's not going to happen. So
The whole the stages of behavior change. I mean, a lot of personal trainers don't understand how relevant that is to our profession all the time.
I understand. So, again, time's rapidly flying. So it sounds like you've been involved in a lot of summits.
Yes.
In the past, and I know in the future as well. Looking at it from the outside, it seems like ACSM made a good decision. I think 15, I don't know, this may be the 15th, I think, summit, somewhere around
right around there, yes.
To make that move, you probably remember when it was all sort of starting, and the journal, ACSM's Health and Fitness Journal.
That's right.
It seems they're doing the right thing, and I just wondered if you had any thoughts on how that's gone over the years. And,
I do. I think it's extremely important. Even the keynote yesterday talking about, you know, gadgets and gimmicks and fads, and you know, our job is practical, but we need those researchers and tools to help us better understand how we can make a decision. And I really think ACSM has done a fabulous job of combining that with this summit, you know, to where it's not over our head. You know, we can understand the information, but it's not insulting. You know, so really bridging the gap. That's exactly well said. What they do really well.
And your own career is a good example. I mean, you ended up taking those physiology classes, and I'm sure you agree that that was very beneficial in your training.
Crucial, yeah.
And now to be able to be in the trenches and tell other people that this is what you need to do,
right,
I think carries a powerful punch.
It does, you know, and you just reminded me of something a long time ago when I was a new trainer. I remember I was at Equinox and I was saying something to a client, and I said, well, you know what they say? And she said, no, you're my they. I was like, whoa.
Good
I'm
point.
the person bringing this information to these people, so I better be better at reading the journals and you know, getting the information. So that was huge.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. Well, anyhow, we're just about out of time here, so I guess I just wanted to end up by asking you that. So, what other things have you? I think you told me earlier, but I didn't remember that you've done at the summit. I mean, you've not talked about the same thing every year.
No.
But it's all in the realm of how trainers can be better trainers, right?
Yes.
Different components of that.
Yes, and so what I've done through the years is I talk a lot on exercise during the pregnancy and postpartum period. So yesterday I went to a wonderful session where they talked about the research. So it's great to know that, you know, number one, that I'm up on the research, and it's great to communicate with those people, you know, to see if there's anything else that I can pick up. With Reebok University, we did some wonderful programs on, you know, the core board training, and that brings into all aspects of, you know, core integrity
And you
posture.
were there when that all started, too.
Unbelievable,
I mean,
yeah. We worked with Alex McKechnie, the physiotherapist from Vancouver, in developing those programs. You know, so that's another great example through ACSM and other organizations of meeting these physical therapists and these
yeah.
researchers and saying, okay, so how do we bring that message to the fitness professional? You know, we've done lots of classes on movement screens. You know, what does it mean when your client looks like this when they're doing a movement? And how do you think through a thought process of what do you look, you know, how do you find out what the person needs to work on? You know, so just always trying to bridge that.
Yeah, really, really neat stuff. I can see why your lectures would be very popular.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
they're so applicable. And
Yeah.
I mean, this is it. This is what you need to know and
Exactly
to be better
right.
at what you do.
Exactly right. And I think ACSM was very influential in me, you know, back when I got my degree in health education. You know, this summit really brings out a lot as far as the behavioral component, you know, the
absolutely.
communication skills and the coaching aspects of our profession, which is huge.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Annette, thank you. 30 minutes didn't take long to cover.
Not at all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Annette.